AITA for refusing to babysit the golden child's baby after he disowned me for being adopted. I, 20, femme, was adopted when I was 16 by my half-brother and his wife who were in their late 30s at the time. They already had 6 children when they adopted me, but it was never an issue. They have treated me like their own kid since they met me and later adopted me, so did all their other kids. Except for one, their golden child who is only 4 months older than me. We will call him Chad. Chad has always been an insensitive AITA to literally everyone, including our other siblings. He would literally fist fight our older sister, say horrible and mean things to everyone and get away with it. He also had extreme anger issues that would cause broken doors, holes in walls, etc. He also got to do everything me and my sister were never able to do, got a free car, go out at night, etc. When we were still in school together during high school, he got up in front of our whole class year and told everyone I wasn't his sister and never would be. He then told me in front of his friends that I would never be a part of his family and I should just get over it and walked off. This was not a one and done thing, he would keep doing this up until he moved out and I stopped talking to him. Golden boy once again got the limelight of the family after he got married right after high school, moved out to his wife's family's house, and then had a baby, the first grandbaby. Since this has happened I have stayed as far away from him as possible, only seeing him for family pictures every year because our mother asks. Recently I decided to come forward to our mom about what he said and did, because she was upset about how I was distancing myself from him. She basically pulled the "that's still my kid and it's my first grandbaby" card as the reason she wasn't going to be upset over it. I didn't really care, to be honest. I knew it wasn't going to change her mind on her kid anyway. Out of nowhere, I got a message begging me to come to babysit for them because you're the only one who can deal with these kinds of babies because no one will help. Apparently they are weaning their kid off of breastfeeding and the baby is extremely clingy because of that, and the fact that the mom is a germ phobia who has basically isolated this kid since birth. It literal has only been held by like 6 people since it's been born. They know I don't sleep for the most part because I'm an insomniac with ADHD and I also am not bothered by crying. For some reason, I can sit for hours with the baby crying and it doesn't bother me. Can't tell if that's a blessing or a curse at this point. My sister is mad at me because apparently they haven't asked anyone else in the family for help but me, and everyone wants to go see this baby. Am I the AITA for not wanting to be around or take care of the baby because its father said that I'm not a part of his family? Update. I want to say this, I read everyone's comments and it made me feel much better knowing my feelings on this whole situation are valid. I wanted to give a update that most of you may not like. After I posted I ended up talking to 2 of my friends from high school. They were actually there during multiple occasions when Chad Public said all that stuff. I talked with them for a little while. One of these friends actually came over almost weekly when I was still living at my parents' home, so she firsthand understands my family. We talked and we all mutually agreed, I go this once, see if we can't mend things, if not I can tell my mom and sister I tried and we are done with the whole thing, and if the whole negative thing with my family keeps up, I will cut them off for good. So I accepted to go babysit. I went over to Chad's house around 8 p.m. As soon as I showed up I was greeted by Chad's wife who was extremely happy to see me. She was tired, you could just tell she had the "I have a 1-year-old" face going on. She talked to me for a few minutes about how happy she was I came over and how she was glad to be going out with Chad. I kinda just listened to her go on and on before she finally got to the baby. Let's call him Seth. She explained to me his night route, feedings, etc. Nothing too big. Then she got to the end where she started going on about how he was having crying fits at night and how he wouldn't get to sleep until mid-morning. I was a little EHH on that, but all babies have different routes I guess. She then said they would only be gone about 4 hours and that they would be home around like 12:31 at most. After this Chad shows up from their room, literally starts talking to his wife, looks at me and then just looks me over for a minute and gives me a small wave and nod before heading out of the house. His wife follows and simply tells me to call or text if I need anything. For a minute I was just stunned but went to work to see Seth. Which was odd, because it was my first time seeing him in person and not in the photos that are hung around our partner's house. In person he is the cutest little baby ever. He was fine the whole time, and he only cried because there was no one in the room, not because of the weaning. By this time it was around 11:30, almost 12. I would check the clock every few minutes just to see what time it was. 12:30 rolled around and I'm like, should I text them? And I'm like, no, let me give them another few minutes until I need to text them. I ended up texting both of them at one asking where they were because they did say they would be home by now. I got no reply from either of them. They finally show up at 3 in the morning. I'm livid at this point. Not even over having to take care of Seth for a longer period of time, but just because they never texted me back. Like what if there was emergency or something? They walk into the living room and I'm just like, I texted asking where y'all were and no one answered, and Chad's wife starts saying that, oh Chad said it was fine and that it would only be an hour more, and I was just like, you know what, it's fine, whatever, Seth is sleeping. She looks at me all weird and I rolled my eyes, say, it's not the weaning that's making him cry at night. He gets lonely, he's clingy. Just let him know you are in the room when he starts crying and he will go right back to sleep. I started to walk out with my stuff, as I was right about to walk completely past Chad when I turned around and was like, so you aren't going to say anything to me? After I looked after your kid for like 7 hours now. He snorted at me and was like, no. My wife is the one who talked me into this anyway. Pissed off at this point I said, so this wasn't, I don't know, possibly a way to be able to apologize for high school or maybe all those other times you decide to outcast me from the family. Because I was under the impression that maybe you want to patch things up because of you asking me of all people to watch your kid. He sat there for a minute and just said, why should I apologize? Because literally nothing from high school has changed. Man, you really do need to just grow up and understand that me and my wife aren't going to cater to you like mom and dad did because you're adopted. You ain't our family and you won't ever be. At this point I just got in my car and left. I ended up texting my mom about all of it thinking she would get it in the morning when she woke up. No, of course she had to be awake. She apparently told Chad's wife about the conversation we had about all the stuff Chad had said and done to me in school. Apparently his wife felt bad because she had an adopted sister too and felt horrible that Chad had done and said all those things. Apparently mom didn't know about Chad asking about the babysitting thing until now and she started talking to the wife who is now upset. Apparently she thought Chad would have changed since then and didn't think he will act the way he did when I left. I told my mom that I'm done with him and that if something ever happened with Seth then I would be there, but I was done with them until that happens. Way things are going, I will most likely be cutting my whole family off because this isn't worth the stress anymore. Update. So it has been a hot minute since I last updated on the whole Chad situation. It's mainly due to the surprising fact that my family, my mother and sister, not bugging me as much lately. The first day or two after the interaction with Chad was a bit hectic. Both of them were blowing up my phone, trying to get me to talk to them, mostly my mom just making excuses for Chad and my sister trying to basically just tell me to get over it. I ended up telling the both of them, in text and over the phone, that I was over it and I would be cutting myself off completely from Chad and his little family. This sparked some anger, but my mother soon went quiet and later my sister. Everything seemed to be going pretty good after that for a while. That was until a week later when my sister showed up unannounced at my apartment demanding that I take the blessing of getting to be around Chad's sheltered child when no one else seemed to be able to. Basically acting like it was some huge honor that I was asked to babysit. I almost snapped. I wanted to call her a bitch and to get off my property and not come back because I was just so sick of it. But I didn't. From my doorstep I told her that if she wanted to see the baby so bad just go over and see it. It wasn't my issue to deal with, and I slammed the door in her face and watched her leave. It's been radio silent for a while now until earlier this week. I was scrolling on Instagram when I noticed that my oldest brother, the one that I get along super well and supported me about curing Chad off, his girlfriend of 4 years and the same age as me, are now engaged and posted pictures of the proposal. I noticed the post had been made last week, but no one had told me. Not even my mother. I texted my brother's girlfriend asking her about literally everything that was happening. She was surprised because my mother had said she had told everyone in the family about the wedding. She then told me that they would be holding a family meeting at my parents' house to talk about the wedding plans. I said okay. The meeting was for today around dinner time. I showed up and walked into the house and noticed that a lot of stuff was different decoration-wise. My parents had our family photos all arranged around the living room, and a few random frames with multiple small photos in them as well. I noticed that they had replaced multiple small photos of specifically me from the frames, and replaced them with now pictures of Chad and his wife and my older brother and his girlfriend. What were maybe 6 pictures of me on any of the walls, there were now 2, a baby picture of me and my senior high school photo, that are now in the hallway, not even the living room. I ignored it and didn't say anything. After a while everyone showed up, except for, of course, Chad, who my mom pulled the, he wanted to spend time with his baby pleading face, BS. They all started talking about the people plans of the part, aka people who were going to be key parts of the wedding cast. I tried my best to listen and take in all of what my brother's girlfriend was saying. I noticed by the end of it all, my name was literally never added into any of the main plans. I wasn't mentioned at all for another in the plans. I stated to question why I was there if I wasn't going to be in the main plans of the wedding. I was kinda like, why not just send me an invitation then? I went home and texted his girlfriend asking about what had happened at the little meeting. Apparently my mother had told her that I wouldn't want to be involved in any of the wedding stuff and that it wasn't my thing. She called me unfeminine and that I wouldn't like doing any kind of bridal stuff because I'm not girly. She then said everything was set in stone now. My older sister is going to be a bridesmaid and my little sister is to be a flower girl. My little brother will be the ring holder and my other little brother and Chad will be groomsmen. And apparently my mother also told her that because of what happened with Chad that I shouldn't be sat at the family table but at a guest table. I will just be another guest at the wedding. I didn't really say anything back because it hurt. It hurt that my mother would say that about me, that I was infeminine and that just because I myself didn't do a lot of girly things in my spare time, I wasn't going to be able or enjoy doing something like a wedding or be a bridesmaid. I can't believe she would say that about me. To be honest, I don't know if I'm even going to go. The wedding is scheduled for the end of the year. It sounds stupid and petty, but this hurt me. It hurt that I'm being outcasted, most likely due to Chad once again. And as I am typing this, my sister is texting me about how she is helping plan all the bride stuff. Honestly, I'm going to leave it off at this for right now because I don't know how to even feel, if you know what I mean right now. In the next day or so I might update when I feel up to it. Another update, Chad's wife is pregnant again. I don't even know what to say. I didn't expect to update again so soon, but I just got the news from my older brother's fiancé. Chad's wife is pregnant again. Update. It's been a minute since I updated. I would say it's because everything is going great, but I would be slightly lying. Things have only mildly gotten better for me since the last update. I have moved even farther away from my parents since the last few updates, in part to hopefully try and start a process of trying to cut them off from my life. This has worked a bit, but not enough to actually make me feel any better. They, mostly my mother, have still decided to take time to bother me and showing up at my new place and only giving me a second of a heads up. There is no update concerning the wedding. I have only gotten an invitation though the mail. I'm not going to try and press it anymore. I'm going to go, but I will most likely leave after the ceremony and not stay to hang out with anyone. Chad's situation has grown only by the fact that over a group chat they decided not to have any kind of gender reveal or even a baby shower. They just announced that they are now having a girl. Don't want to be in his, but Chad's wife stretched the fact that Chad randomly made her get up and go get an ultrasound to find out the gender. She acted like she really didn't want to do it. Apparently they went to one of those fancy ultrasound places where you get fancy models of the fetus and high-tech ultrasound pics. Chad also announced that he is going to college now, and asked for a $1,000 loan, which they gave to him. They have always stretched that they will never loan money to any of their kids. My stomach turned when they happily gave him the money, but they wouldn't lend me $20 bucks for school books when I went to college. They refused to help me get into college. I muted the group chat. I also found out that my sister has possibly outed me to mom. I came out when I was in high school as being bisexual with a preference for women. This didn't go well, to be quite honest, as my mom pulled. I have a lesbian cousin who is married to a woman, followed up by a homo PHBC story about how her friend traumatized her in college by taking her to a gay bar and she got hit on by another female. Not great. My brother fully believes that my love for women is trauma-based because of the abuse I faced from our bio father. My heart was broken when all of this came to the surface, knowing they both truly wouldn't support me. They would only lie to my face about being uncomfortable by my life. I basically promised myself that I would never tell them if I got a female partner, in hopes of saving not only my feelings but my partner's feelings in the long run. It makes me extremely uncomfortable to think about them looking me in the eyes and believing everything that they told me concerning their feelings about my lifestyle. I fear my sister has told our mom about me dating a female now that I have moved further away from them, something that I never did while in the house living with them. I noticed on my girlfriend Instagram my sister had like one of the pictures of me and my girlfriend. My girlfriend, after hearing all of this, supports me about not posting pictures of us, seeing as she knows that my family follows me on Instagram. My girlfriend has not tagged me in any pictures on Instagram, so my sister had been looking through my friend on Instagram. Not even a week after the photo was light I had to see my sister in person for something. She started to make awkward comments about my dating life and if I was seeing anyone, which I only said maybe and left it at that. 2 days later my mom is showing up at my front door with some store-bought cookies asking me if there's anything I want to tell her. I brushed her off and didn't say anything. She then left and hasn't said anything else to me. A few hours later my little brother texts me asking if I had told mom about me dating because she is apparently going crazy, and about how his dad is just telling her that it's just a trauma response. I haven't told anyone about me dating, so clearly someone told her about me dating, especially the fact that they are bringing up that I'm dating a female. I honestly don't know what I'm supposed to do at this point, as I am trying my best to cut them off. My girlfriend is telling me not to think about it too much and that we can get through it together. I honestly don't know where I would be without her at this point because she is the only one keeping me sane throughout this entire transition. This update isn't anything grand, but it is something. I wish I could fully say that my life is getting better, but it's really only getting better at a snail's pace. At the moment all I can say is thank you to everyone who has been supporting me throughout all of these updates. Everyone's input has actually made me see how messed up and how wrong my family has been treating me and how I shouldn't be letting them continue to lead my life and invalidate my feelings. I hope to update after the wedding in a few months. Reminder, I am not the original poster.